Hi everyone, welcome back to the Salt and Sauce podcast. Exciting one this week as the league is back up and running, which is really exciting. Obviously, we do have a bit of European football to cover as well. Just before I do that, we'll start off with a shout out to our sponsors. That is Mint Box Removals. Big Dave is a good friend of Robert and myself, and can honestly say they're a top firm. Myself and a number of friends have used them. So anyone looking to move house or get from A to B, basically, give the guys a shout. The details are on the screen just now. But football, yeah. So the plan this week is obviously we've got some games to review. First league game of the season. We'll start off though, Robert, in a second, just with Hibs European game last week. We're then going to have or I certainly want to have a little chat about referees and VAR, as if we've not discussed that enough. And then we'll look ahead to the games that are coming up. Again, excitingly for Hibs, they've got two to look forward to between now and the next pod. But let's go back to next Thursday, Robert, at Easter Road. Record crowds, I believe, at Easter Road. Great atmosphere, from what I could see on the telly.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. The place was rocking. The fans did their job. Gray kind of put out a rallying cry saying he wanted a really good atmosphere there, and it was just great to be there. Full house, big occasion, and I guess the game didn't disappoint either. It was an exciting game. Okay, it wasn't the outcome that we wanted, but it was a great spectacle to be part of. Um, we're not going to discuss the game in too much detail because we've got so much to discuss. And we obviously want to look ahead to the next games, but to sum it up, again, we started really well in the game. Um, the crowd were kind of feeding off the players, and the players were feeding off the crowd. It was just one of those kind of opening 20 minutes where we were just again in their faces. I know that's a cliche of Scottish teams to get in their faces, but when you're up against people that have more quality than you in most positions, which Midtjylland certainly do, you have to make life horrible for them. You have to, the likes of Bowie, they just couldn't deal with them. Big, strong, and we played on that as well at times and went route one, probably more so than we usually would because we knew from the first leg. I think we said in the review of that game, they just didn't know how to deal with him. They were backing off him. He was holding it up, and he's quite happy facing you up as well, square on. And he was just a nightmare for them. So anyway, we'll talk about the game. I'm actually struggling to remember their first goal.
It was the left foot long distance
Oh,
into
that's
the
right.
corner.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
great goal.
I have to say, it
It
was
was it
coming.
was a great goal.
It was coming. We were in the game. We had some chances, didn't take them. Again, the final third from Hibs just was just lacking again. And I said it in the first leg again. The first leg was a great result, but we got ourselves in such good positions. It's just that final bit of quality that we just didn't have. And as the second half was wearing off, there were people around me, and certainly I was feeling it as well. This is coming. A goal for them is coming. And the way it came, sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and go, wow. It was a bit of a, like someone said, who was sitting in front of me, they said, Andy Halliday Scotch Cup
Yes,
final.
very,
That's what
very.
it was like. It was actually probably more top corner. And when it first happened, I was like, did that go through Smith's hands? And then I saw the replay. I was like, right, you're not safe. You're not saving that.
That was honestly, I watched it on telly, obviously, rather than at the game. But I have to be honest, the first time I saw it, and even after the first replay, I was like, "Oh, Smith's got to do better." And then I saw
Yeah,
a much better replay, and I was like, "Nah, fair
yeah.
enough. It's just a really good strike."
No, it's just a rocket, and fair play to the boy. And then you're thinking that's and they're just going to pick us off. But credit to us, we stuck in the game. We're right in the game at extra time. Gray kind of rolled the dice, put Johan on. So Josh Campbell's a good athlete, but he's not someone that you want when you want control of any tie, but a European tie where they're better on the ball. And a lot of the time in that second half we were doing doggies, trying to get control of the ball. Campbell's not the guy you bring on just to run. We had to get a player on the ball that to be
Yeah.
composed.
good at
Uh,
closing them down, but the problem is even if you do then close them down and get the ball back, you need to keep it.
exactly, exactly. So we get ourselves back in the game. One of our subs, Johan, came on, cut it back to Rocky Bashiri.
Who
Excellent
else?
finish. Say what he was doing there, who knows? But he pops up with these important moments for
Yeah, yeah,
Hibs, and you're thinking, right, brilliant. We've got ourselves back in the game. The place was rocking, um, and you're just kind of thinking, right, we'll take penalties, and then we go up their end to score, and I think about a minute before they got their winner,
that's right. Yeah,
and I think it was Hoylett. Before that, Boyle should have left it for Johan, but Boyle continued on the ball and cut it back, and it was offside.
Hmm.
Boyle leaves it for Johan. He hopefully does that, and we win the game. And then we got another chance with Hoylett. Hoylett's through. I think we're 2-on-1, and you're just thinking you don't want anyone else in this position. An experienced head,
yeah.
Cam. You're thinking either take it
Good
in and
footballer.
shoot. Yeah, take it in and shoot, or pick someone out. And I think he had three options, and he bluted it over the bar.
Hmm.
And you're thinking, right, okay, penalties it is, and everyone was getting ready for pens, and they go up the other end. We should stop the cross. Rocky Bashiri should be closer to your man, but sometimes again, it's an outrageous cross, and it's an even more outrageous finish from the boy. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
moment of class.
yeah. It's a funny one. Like, obviously, it's totally different watching it as a Hearts fan rather than a Hibs
Mm.
fan. But no matter how much you want to, rip into the other team, when you look at the two goals that they scored, I
Yeah,
mean, the thing is, yeah, better defenders probably do maybe stop the cross or whatever. But the goals like that, when they're flying in the top corner and they're overhead kicks out of nowhere that are also going top bin, like Real Madrid concede them or
yeah,
Barcelona concede them because
yeah.
they're so
True.
good. They probably don't get the chance against those teams. Right, fine. But aye, that's what I mean. It was two moments of brilliance. Even if they, okay, fine, balance of play, they had the better of it. Again, it wasn't like they were totally knocking at the door the whole game though.
No,
They, sure, better team, but I mean, aye. Like you said, they didn't absolutely dominate the whole game.
no. And again, we were in the game. We had our chances, and with better decision making, we'd be through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was just that last, and again, I guess you get this. They had three outrageous goals in over the two ties. Um, Apart from that, we limited them to very little. We were in both games to the
Mhm.
very end. On the whole, Gray got his tactics right. Again, I don't think bringing Campbell on a game like this is
Mhm.
um, the right thing to do. But on the whole, he set up a team that would compete with a team that's better than Hibs. And in the end, the better team went through. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. And even better team just in terms of overall they're a better team, but even performance-wise, they did play better over the two games,
Oh
albeit
yeah, yeah, yeah.
albeit not a huge amount. Um, but I suppose what the one thing I wanted to reflect on with that game is that I'd agree with pretty much everything you've said there in terms of the difference in quality, but Hibs overall giving a good account of themselves.
Yep.
Um, I noticed a lot of Hearts fans online were obviously like, making all the jokes that you make when your rivals get knocked out of something. And I remember thinking last season, and in fact the season before, and any time that Hearts have been in Europe recently, when they got knocked out of Europe, and Hibs fans would be straight onto Twitter like, oh, Hearts, they're like Brexit, going out, all these things going out of Europe, blah blah blah. And I was like, how on earth can you jump on right now and make fun of us when the reason we got knocked out is because we were there? But
Mm.
you finished like whatever ninth or whatever the year before, or Hearts finishing seventh last year. And I was just like, pick your battles. I'm all for ripping into Hibs and having a little joke at their expense, but I think getting knocked out of Europe, or not getting knocked out of Europe, sorry, but getting knocked down from the Europa to the conference for now. Um, I just don't think Hearts have got much of a leg to stand on at the minute after how bad
Mm,
last season was.
mm,
And I say that as a Hearts fan, and I said that to Hibs fans last season. I was like, how just pipe you've got nowhere to pipe down, and
mm,
Europe is not your argument right now. You're going to lose
mhm,
that argument.
mm. Yeah, no, I saw a lot of things about Hearts fans tweeting like Hibs away, I like it and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
like this is the thing, we're playing like a Champions League team.
Yeah,
We've not embarrassed ourselves far from it. We nearly did enough to go through. And I think the fact that they were celebrating in the dressing rooms like they'd won, you know, the won a trophy or something,
you know
that team
why? Yeah.
from a manager that said they were going to just turn up and pretty much beat us. You
No, he was
know,
right.
he underestimated Hibs, and I think the players did as well. And they scraped through in the end. Okay, the better team won, but they needed a wonder goal in the 119th minute to stop penalties, which look they may have won anyway, but who knows?
So I mean,
Um,
I guess for me, if I, as a Hearts fan, my message is, I'll have a little smile at Hibs getting knocked out the Europa, but it comes from a place of knowing that I'd have liked to have been there myself to have gotten knocked out as well.
oh, of
So,
course, you always want that, and that's like last season when Hearts got to Hampden,
hi.
against Aberdeen, like there were Hibs fans laughing at that.
Yeah. And I'm going, we went one step further than you, so,
I don't know, but my point is that Hibs fans would have wanted to be there as well.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You always want to go to Hampden and, watching your rivals get a day out and, go to the semi-final. They're the reason you support your team. You know what I mean? Well, it's not, I don't mean that's a reason, but they're the
yeah,
days
yeah.
you live for. They're the days you live for. You know what I mean?
It's what you work towards. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, listen, I remember saying the same to a few Hibs fans, or not saying the same, but thinking the same anyway. I avoid any Twitter arguments, but thinking the same about Hibs fans last season.
Yeah.
Very much thinking the same about Hearts fans this season. But let's stick with Europe quickly, and then we'll go into the league games from
Great.
the weekend. Partizan Belgrade.
Yeah.
That would be that would be some atmosphere over there. I
Yeah.
know
This is,
fans aren't allowed.
oh no, they are. They are.
All right, I thought someone told me that their stadium was closed off to away fans.
No, there's fans going over.
Are they going to the game though? Are they allowed in the
Yeah.
stadium?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Oh, I don't know where this. I don't know where I heard that from then.
And I think they'll need full body armor by some of the threats coming from the Belgrade team. Um,
Quite wild over there, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I decided against bringing the family to that one. And I'm not even going myself, to be honest. I kind of half looked at it, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, it's not really a place. I would love to be there to support Hibs, but I need to pick my battles as well when I'm going to matches, and that's just one that just needs to be watched on the telly.
So very quickly, because we're going to do more previews later, and I don't want to get too bogged down in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a really quick thought ahead of that match. What are you thinking? How are you feeling?
Again, Partizan Belgrade, they're a big name.
Yeah.
I don't think they're as good as what they've been in the past, but they will have players of Europa League quality. Probably a little bit less in Midtjylland, I'd say, is it what I'm expecting. Um, Again, similar to what I said at Midtjylland away, I think a draw would be a great result. If we can get a win, great, or even a 1-0 defeat wouldn't be the worst to bring back to Easter Road in the second leg. So I'm expecting, because of, I guess, I know football doesn't work like this, but because of how we showed up against Midtjylland and the problems we caused them, theoretically, if they're a little bit worse,
Yeah.
it should be an even match.
In a word, are you going to qualify?
Well, for the next round,
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
yes.
Right.
We're gonna over the two legs. I'm not saying we're gonna win in Belgrade, but I think over the two legs we're going through, Stuart. I
Okay.
backed us to beat Midtjylland, and I know that didn't work out, but it nearly did.
What's
But
the alternative? Backing your team to lose?
yeah, which I have done before.
I'm happy to back your team to lose in that one as well. So.
You think? You think?
No, I mean, I don't know. I agree with you. I think it'll be even. I think, yeah, they're probably certainly no mugs, but they're probably not as good as Midtjylland, and therefore, I don't think Hughes were quite as good as Midtjylland. So yeah,
Hmm.
and it could go either way. All it takes is a red card or a penalty
Yeah.
or anything, as we've said a number of times. So um, too early to say. I'm going to say though, my slight feeling is that there's not much European experience in the Hibs squad,
Hmm.
certainly from what I'm aware of. And so I
You
wonder
wouldn't
if
think it over the two ties though.
no, they played well, but ultimately that's what I mean. They played well and didn't go through, and
Hmm.
that's that for me. European experience is just jargon for winning when you're maybe not
Hmm.
playing particularly
Hmm.
well. Um, and so yeah, I think Hibs will do well. I think there's certainly not be much in it, but I suspect these guys will be a bit more clever when
Hmm.
they need to be. But again, I mean, I'm saying that with not knowing a huge amount about them, and I'm only coming from a Hibs point of view there.
Yeah, I know nothing about them apart from
Yeah.
their name. I know they're a European league, a
Okay.
European name, sorry. But come on, the Highbies. We'll do it. We'll do them over the two legs.
Well, you've sent a warning message to them by beating the mighty Dundee from future
Exactly.
manager of the year, Stephen Presley. Uh,
Hmm.
well, I saw the game as well, Robert, but obviously, what were your thoughts?
Again, we were talking about a European hangover and how we would cope
Oh, yeah.
with, the grueling 120 minutes game. So it was great to see the energy we started the game with. We were all over them, creating chances, high energy. And I'm thinking, these guys just played 120 minutes. It was really good to see because I was a bit worried about, would we be leggy or would we be starting a second string team and then bring on the likes of Boyle and Bowie if we needed to. But no, Gray showed he was taking it seriously.
There's also
Um,
the emotional side of losing so late as well. Like that
exactly.
will have really killed them, and to, as you say, to physically get yourself ready for Dundee away, but yeah, mentally and emotionally get yourself motivated for Dens Park after the Europa League.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because those guys put in everything, absolutely everything to try and get Hibs through, and then you pick yourself up and you're away to Dundee. It's not exactly like the most motivating factor, but as I said before, it was great to see Gray set up the team, take it seriously. There was no emotion about Thursday night. It was just like, right, on to the next one. And that's the way we kind of treated it. Um, Bowie with two excellent finishes in the game. Again, a real handful. I think he's going to have a standout season. Bowie, if he stays fit, if he stays injury free, he is going to be one to watch for Hibs. And I think now we're getting the right ammunition around him as well. I think Boyle and Bowie are a great partnership. And I think we have creativity from the midfield as well that should play into Bowie's hands to be our top guy. So two excellent finishes. Now Dundee will be
Yeah.
really unhappy with their defending. I mean, it was comical. It was like Hibs at the start of last season, just gifting chances away. But it was two really, really nice finishes. And I was thinking, this is going to be 3, 4, or 5 here, because that's the way it was looking.
Hmm.
And then obviously, I don't know whether it was a combination of us tiring, um, or what happened, but we allowed Dundee back in the game for a brief period. They got their goal. Remind me of the goal, Stuart.
Iredale goes to clear it, but
Oh,
makes a hash of it. He basically just stops the ball dead and then falls over. To be like
and the
the
boy had
striker
the
puts
hand
his
in
hand out,
back.
but it's not a foul.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Yeah,
never a foul in a million years. But the
it was
striker
too
does what
soft.
the striker is there to put him off, and you would do the
Yeah,
same if you were playing up front. So you know,
would I?
and then well, yeah, you wouldn't have been there. You'd be too lazy.
I'd be in the box, mate. Um, no, but yeah, it was too soft, and he goes down. Um, and yeah, look, it was a good finish from the boy. But apart from that, I mean, Dundee have to be relegation candidates. They are brutal.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they really are a brutal team.
I as much as I'm my thoughts on the Hibs Dundee game is great result. Any away point, anyway, 3 points, sorry, is great in the league, especially after a European game, especially after 120 minutes in a European game. So I don't mean to take this anything away from Hibs, but in some ways that was just the best game you could have had, apart from Dundee at Easter Road.
Of
Um,
course.
it's one of the best games you could have had just because they really do look bad. And I don't know if it's, I mean, they were pretty poor towards the end of last season. Presley, obviously is a bit of a Hearts legend in some ways, and I love him for that. But I mean, he's not a good manager. He's
No,
never tired me as a manager. Um, some of their play was awful at times,
it
and
was shocking.
as you say, you can accept that if they're then going to be defensively brilliant.
Hmm.
But they weren't. They were, and fair play to Hibs for taking them. But I'd say both of your goals came from pretty bad
Mistakes.
mistakes.
There were mistakes, yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, yeah, in some ways the best game you could have got, but Hibs, you can only beat what you're up against, and you did that.
And to sum it up, that's a game at the start of last season or days gone past, we would have drawn. They would have put someone in the box in the 90th minute,
Yeah,
got a point, but we defended when we needed to defend. Um, Campbell's missed a header from 2 yards out to make it 3-1 and make the last kind of throws of the game a lot more comfortable.
Campbell again.
It was a shocking miss. Everyone's saying great save. How's it a great save when you hit it at the keeper when you have the whole goal to aim at? It was
Yeah.
just such a sitter. But anyway, so it was 2-1, and then you do get nervous because you're thinking, oh, we're going to be tired, but we saw the game out, and I guess it was just a great result, considering kind of what the players had been through just a few days earlier. So I was very, very happy to get started with a win.
The only thing I'll say is, and to very much agree with you, obviously coming from the other way, is I was thinking Hibs are well in control here. Dundee are pretty terrible. Hibs well worthy of their victory, but when there's one goal in it in the last 10 minutes, anything can happen. Um, and 3-1 is an option, but so is 2-2. And so as a Hearts fan, you're kind of hoping for that because obviously Hibs are going to be one of our rivals in the
Of
league this
course.
year, no doubt. So
Yeah.
we're looking for you to drop points. So that was the thing I was clinging on to. But it's just so true that one goal is such a risky lead to have, no matter how well you've played. Which actually brings me nicely on to the Aberdeen game.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you caught of it on Monday night.
Yeah, I saw it. I was watching it.
But I thought first half we were excellent. I thought we were really, really good. In some ways, it's a shame that one, we only had a one goal lead to show for it, and two, it was an own goal. I'd always, as much as it was fun to see Shinnie score an own goal, he's a guy that I think we both respect, but he's quite dislikable for opposition fans.
Yeah.
Is Shinnie. So yeah, there was a lot of cheers. It reminded me when Simon Murray scored an own goal for Dundee at Tynecastle last season. So he got a big cheer when his name got read out, and there's only one. So yeah, that was great. But I'd rather see a Hearts player score, obviously.
Of course.
Thought we did well for the goal though. Like we firstly the attacking players quite good. Braga does well. It's a good header. It forces a good save. Devlin strikes decent. A little bit of luck that it falls to Milne, but again his cutback's really good. Lots of pace on it. So whilst there's falling to Milne and on goal, bit of luck. I think we earned that luck by keeping it alive and pressing high. So and Milne staying high as well. So no, I was happy with that. It was well deserved. And um, Milne then about 2 minutes later has an absolute ripper of a shot. I honestly think it could have been a goal of the season contender
Mhm.
in the first weekend. What a strike it was! When it hit the bar, it was just gutting. You're just hoping that goes in for even for neutral fans to just enjoy it. But no joy. They then hit the post with a total miss hit of a shot from uh, Yengi. He was pretty hopeless, that guy up front for them. I don't know if it was just a bad day, but I remember he's a big unit,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh dear, when he first came on. But Halkett had him in his pocket. He was pretty awful. So yeah, hit the post with a miss hit. Okay, it can go in, but it would have been very harsh. And then Shanklin scores another, sort of goal of the season contender, but it is offside. There's no getting away from that. Just frustrating because Halkett, I mean, he's fractions offside, but
Hmm.
offside is offside. The encouraging thing from that is thinking back to last season and how Shanklin played. It's just good to see that he has his shooting boots on because it was a great strike, and it would have been a brilliant goal. That was a bit of a killer because I turned to the guy next to me and actually just literally just said to him, I would goal before half time would be beautiful. And then Shankland did that. And you're
Yeah,
thinking, oh, happy days, 2-0 at half time, game over. But that goal getting chopped off it's obviously feels like a goal for them and it feels like
yeah.
they conceded a goal in some ways. So you're actually going on with those opposite emotions at half time. I don't know if that's why, but second half they definitely started the better team. In no way were they as good as we were first half, but they were on top, partly because we weren't keeping the ball well enough. We looked a bit shaky at times. Yengi does have a big chance that you should score with.
Mm,
Other than that, I wasn't massively concerned. That there's no doubt that should have been a goal, but again, it would have been on the whole balance of the game very undeserved. But the chance in isolation, yeah, 100% should be a goal. Um, we then make four subs, which is bold from McInnes, but you know, you can do that, and it did change the game, obviously. But free kick then comes in, set pieces. I think will be a big part of our game this season. And Finlay one header, and then Finlay gets the next one bravely, puts his head in. And again, set pieces, the count is the same as Shankland's would have counted or Milnes would have counted. These screamers that you talk about. So yeah, happy with that. And the minute it went 2-0, that was it. Pretty much cruise control after that. I thought it was really comfortable apart from that first spell of the second half. But again, to think you're going to go the whole 90 minutes without them having any period of domination,
mm.
I mean, that's naive. So no, listen, delighted. Aberdeen, are they as good as they were last season, or even as good as the results suggested? You and I have both said we've never really thought that. But they're definitely a top six team, or certainly a top six top. They'll be talking about third place, and I feel like we swept them aside fairly comfortably with and a clean sheet to boot as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. I think it felt like Hearts of old
Yeah.
in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of the fans, in terms of there was a feeling of like excitement that you could feel through the fans when the game started. And again, it's what I'm talking about Easter Road as well. The players feeding off the fans feeding off the players. I think when you get that connection, you feel like there's something special happening. Um, I, I think you played really, really well that first half. I was really, really impressed. I think Braga's going to be a big player for you.
Exciting.
I like his energy. He doesn't give anything up. He was like running back in defense, and then he was running on to attack like some engine.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
he's also the sort of guy that he's a bit like Devlin in that he clearly connects with the fans. He clearly
mm,
drives off that energy, and so
yeah,
he's going to be a huge fan favorite, Braga. And if he keeps playing like that, and there's a couple of things. Don't get me wrong about his game that we could change. He's sometimes a bit too keen. Like
mm,
there's things when he'll drag the ball back and try and nutmeg someone, and I can
mm,
see it. I could tell 5 minutes ago you were going to try and do that.
yeah,
Milne's shot that hits the bar actually comes after Braga takes a shot on his left foot. I mean, that's a terrible shot that goes right at a
mm,
defender. He's done well to get the space, but
mm,
you should have passed it to Milne before.
yeah.
He can be a little bit too keen at times, but I mean it's not the worst trait in the world to have because it is part of his game, like that energy and enthusiasm.
What I would say though is, and this is a kind of a long-standing thing with McInnes, he's all teams have always been excellent at home. He makes
Mm.
the home a fortress, and that's where he gets the majority of his points. And then his teams don't do so well away. But
Yeah,
what I would say is, I think McInnes has changed now that he's at Hearts. With if this first game's anything to go by, because it was all out attack. Like at some stages, it was like a basketball match, and I was thinking this doesn't feel like McInnes team I'm watching. So maybe like now that he's got better players, now that he's got the budget to back. He's like, I don't need to play defensive anymore. We're going to go for it, which
I
makes
said
it an
this.
entertaining season.
I mean, I said this at one point. Like McInnes, there's no doubt he's played defensive football, but then I always think, it's like playing poker. Whatever cards you get, if you've got a two and a seven, you don't go for a royal flush. It's
Yeah,
the players that he's got, and okay, you could then sign more attacking players, but you've got to just go with what your best chance of winning is.
yeah,
And there'll be games where we will need to shut up shop. When you go to
yeah,
Selhurst
yeah.
Park or whatever, or Easter Road, maybe to an extent, depending on how the teams are doing. Um, where you need to do that, and it's good to know McInnes has got that card up his sleeve. But I mean, I thought we played great football. And
Yeah.
it actually brings me on to the next thing I was going to talk about in the middle bit here was we've gone from this, a reputation that gets thrown about big physical Hearts, and a lot of Hearts fans make a joke about it.
Mm.
And there's been teams that have done that at Hearts down the line, down the years, obviously. But I thought Aberdeen were a bit dark artsy,
Mm.
quite physical. The centre halves were leaving quite a lot on Braga, quite a few dull ones on Shankland, pullbacks when they needed to, stealing yards, just throwing themselves down when anyone went behind them. Which actually, look, Aberdeen, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. But what
Mm.
got me was how much Nick Walsh was falling for it. And
Yeah.
I know we've mentioned it before, but referees, my God, I've never been. Sometimes you walk away from a game you've lost, and you're like, "Oh, the ref, terrible." And you might be right, but you are just kind of taking it out on the ref as well, even if they were bad. But I've really walked away from a victory and being so disappointed in the ref. He was, like I say, the soft fouls, and again, as a Hearts fan, don't have a leg to stand on, given that Stephen Presley was the king of doing this. But I just think fall for it once or twice, maybe. But there was one that stood out to me. Sometimes, when your player goes to close someone down from behind and they fall over and you go, ref, he didn't touch him. When what you mean is he obviously did touch him, like he put a hand on him, but it wasn't enough. There was one moment in the second half where Shinnie was going forward and Braga was tracking back and catching him up. And Shinnie went to turn back on himself. And Braga literally ran past him, didn't touch him. And Shinnie went down and caught the free kick. And I was going, he's literally not touched him in that point. There was one later on, Shinnie dived. The ball goes out, Hearts get the throw in. So he doesn't give the free kick. He knows Shinnie's dived, doesn't even speak to him. There was one with Birchgrevnik, the fullback, driving forward. Yengi grabs his arm and pulls him back. He gives a free kick, as he should. If I was running a referee's training course, I'd be saying, this is a yellow card. This is what you do to give a yellow card. And I would use it as a case study. Doesn't even speak to him. And I was just amazed by the amount of yards they were stealing at throw-ins. And like, they were doing it every time. And I don't get, I know that refs shouldn't necessarily listen to all of fans' opinions, but surely they can hear the amount of dissent every time that Aberdeen are taking a throw in and stealing 5 or 10 yards.
Yeah.
Surely they must think that's been 5 or 6 times they've moaned about that. Are they onto something? I don't know. I'm not saying let the fans ref the game, but it's just crazy. I mean, at
You
one
know
point,
me though. You know me though, Stuart. I love the dark arts.
you do, but I know that you want better referees in Scotland as well.
I
So
do want better referees, but uh, just to, I agree with you. By the way, he was shocking. He didn't let the game flow at all, and yellow card should have been given as well. Our European ref wasn't much better. Like some of the decisions he made as well. I don't even know what his name was, but he was a disgrace in the Midtjylland Easter Road game. But just to kind of sum up that game, you let Aberdeen back in the game in the second half. The boys should have scored,
and that
but
makes it 1-1, by the way, rather than 2-1 as well.
yeah, but I guess a positive for you is that you got the win. Despite that, despite Aberdeen having that period, you defended well. All your new players seem to be looking good. There seems to be a good team spirit, and you get the win on the opening day as well, which is what you wanted. So,
Yeah.
overall, if I was a Hearts fan, I'd be quite happy with that. Was I as a Hibs fan though thinking Hearts are going to blow us away when we play them? It's too early to say it, and I'm not gonna
Well,
I'm not gonna come out with stupid stuff like that. I think Hibs and Hearts are going to be very even this season in the league. I think it could be very, very close, and it might not be decided until the top six. I think both squads are very, very strong, and they're still getting stronger. I see Hearts signed the boy today. Who was that, Stuart?
Kabori, a winger, Kabori.
Rory, Hibs have signed Hanley. We're still in the market for a defensive midfielder and probably another striker. So Hibs and Hearts are going to have very, very strong squads, and they're going to have strength and depth as well. So it's too early to say. I think we may see after that derby in October, when there's been a few league games and Hibs and Hearts play each other. I think round about that time you might be able to say, right, which team's looking stronger. But
Yeah,
I think it's going to be really tight, genuinely.
it could come down to anything. Like I reckon Hibs are in trouble if Bowie gets injured. because
Yeah,
he's your main threat, and he's a very good player. I really rate
yeah.
him. Um, and I think if Bowie gets injured, as much as yeah, you're right, the rest of the Hibs team's good. Are they going to put the ball in the net?
No,
Oil, a little bit, but and
we need
apparently
another striker.
Rocky Bashiri as well. He's on for 20 goals a season these
Yeah,
days.
exactly.
But all joking aside, yeah, if without a backup striker, um, it obviously, well, there's a fairly obvious thing to say, but without the backup striker, it knocks down Hibs quite a bit because Bowie's not got the best injury record, as good a player as he is.
How's your Hearts next game then?
Yeah, we have got Dundee United away on Sunday because they've got Rapid Vienna away on Thursday night. So yeah, we're obviously hoping that they get a couple of dead legs in that game. Nothing too serious, just a few dead legs would be good. Um, but even without that, I think we beat them. I genuinely think we look great right now. We've got momentum, as you say. We're not perfect, certainly not nothing like perfect. But I think we're only going to get better the more the players get to know each other, the more McInnes gets to know them. We've got players coming in. We had Magnuson making his debut on Monday, but I don't even think he kicked the ball, to be honest with you. But he only arrived 4 hours before Kabori's just come in. Beningame didn't even get on the pitch. So I think we're only actually going to get stronger from Monday. I'd like to think we go to Tannadice and we win because they've changed a lot. I don't know how well they've gelled. They obviously drew at Brockville, not or Falkirk Stadium, whatever it's called. Not that that's a terrible result because Falkirk were full of energy for the first game back up. But yeah, I'd like to think Hearts go to Tannadice and possibly another 2-0.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you're going to go up there. I don't think Dundee United will be anywhere near where they were last season. And even then, they relied heavily on Dalby's headers, as we covered on the pod. I think you'll go up there and I think you'll win 2-0 at least. Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously I hope so, but I think with good reason, believe that
Yeah.
we can. But again, red cards, penalties, all these things can come into play. We, they might also do a bit like what Hibs did and rally off of a midweek European game rather than
Right.
tired from it.
Yeah.
You never know, but yeah, all things on the balance of play and taking into account maybe some tired legs from them. And especially we've got like so Devlin, Braga, McEntee, who I thought was phenomenal on Monday. Lots of energy right until 90 plus minutes. Will be good, I think. Hibs after Partizan have got Kilmarnock.
Yep. So we've Kilmarnock at Easter Road on Sunday. They changed the game. I was going to go. It was a Saturday. I had my flights booked, and then they decided to change the game to the Sunday. So nightmare. I can't go. So I'll be watching that on the telly. But I am expecting a Hibs win. Um, Again, we don't know if there'll be a European hangover or, what the game on Thursday will entail in terms of injuries. But on the face of it, I'm expecting a comfortable uh 2-0 win.
I am partly in hope going to say that that's a 1-0. I'm going to hope that Kilmarnock grind it out and Hibs have a bit of a European hangover. My thought is that Hibs edge it, maybe like 2-1, similar to
Mm.
the Dundee game. My heart is hoping for maybe a 1-1 or a 0-0 or something like that.
Oh yeah, well of course. I mean, I hope Hearts go to Tannadice and like get
Yeah,
pumped. But
yep, 5-0.
do I think it's gonna happen? Probably not. But we can live in hope. So no, I'm expecting wins for Hibs and Hearts in at the weekend. I just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in the European football. I just don't know. But I think we'll still be in the tie come the second leg. And yeah, we'll see what the tie brings. But our bread and butter is the league. That's where we need to be winning. More importantly than Europe for us, I think. It always is.
To finish the pod on a positive note, how great is it to look at the league table, given how bad we were last season, both of us until October, November, and beyond, and see both Edinburgh clubs top two in the league?
Yep, very good. And hopefully it's Hibs splitting the old firm this season. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
exactly.
in all honesty, though, like obviously I don't want to see Hearts do too well, but it would be good, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
I know.
For it would be good if Hibs and Hearts can put together a challenge and take points off Rangers Celtic, at least disrupt them a bit, at least make it close till, after Christmas or January, February. It
Uh,
would be great to give like the Hibs and Hearts fans just some hope that it can be done. You can bridge that gap.
Even like, I mean, I think Celtic will pull away, but even if it's like, say, the three of us, Hearts, Hibs, and Rangers, who, I mean, who knows how Russell Martin's going to do there, but maybe just the three of us having a battle for second place.
It'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, of course,
I,
also full
I,
agreement.
I, I'm skeptical though. I still think a poor Rangers still finishes second.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, I don't know. The excitement I've got from a Hearts point of view is this model that we've got that's worked at other clubs, and I
Mm,
know I've mentioned it a few times.
mm,
I just think it's more exciting than any other summer that I've had at Hearts for a long time, apart from when Romanov first came in, and obviously I know that ended up going a slightly different direction. But we had, Jankowskis, Fisas, Skatchel, all of these guys coming in, Presley, Hartley, Webster, Gordon, all these guys already there. And we were excellent. That was a phenomenal season for us. So I think that gives me real good reason to think that actually any slip ups from Rangers, and well, certainly we could be the ones that capitalise on it.
yeah.
And I know Hibs will have their arguments as to why they can do it.
Well,
But
we certainly will. We certainly will. And I think, as I said, that Hibs and Hearts will be battling it out the minimum for third. But you know what? Wouldn't it be great if we were battling for second?
no, there's a part of me that would be like, even if Hibs got it, I'm not saying I would be delighted about it.
No.
There's an element of me that would be like, thank God someone else did it.
Yeah, it's just to break that hold that they've got, and it's because of the financial difference. We've talked about it a lot, but it'd be great if I'm sure it'd be great for me if Hibs had like a Leicester style season, and same for you for Hearts. Like all your players stay fit and the stars just align. Rangers and Celtic have an off day. Anyway, we can dream. Come on, we've won the
Yeah,
first
yeah, that's
season.
it's no point in being a
We
fan
can
if you're not
dream.
going to do
We
that.
can dream. We can dream.
So, Rob, for possibly the only time ever in this podcast's history and future, we'll finish it first and second place.
Yeah, happy with that. As long as Hibs are first.
Right, Rob, next week. I'll see you then.
See you then.